If you are over 60 and your belly is bigger than it was at 50, the morning coffee you have been drinking your whole life is now working against you. Not because the coffee changed, because your body did. And there is one specific thing missing from your cup that was never missing before. And the longer it stays missing, the harder that weight settles in around your middle. I am going to show you what to add. I am going to show you why it stops working without one more piece. And I am going to show you what 9 out of 10 folks over 60 get backwards when they finally try. My name is Amadou Salori. For 45 years, I have served my people through the plant medicine my grandfather passed to me, the same medicine his grandfather passed to him, going back 7 generations into the hills of West Africa. I am not a doctor in the way the white coats are doctors. I am something older than that. The old ones who taught me used to say all disease begins in the belly. After watching folks for nearly half a century, I have come to believe they were right. The belly is the root. From it grows your immunity, your sleep, your mood, the way your body decides whether to burn what you eat or store it around your waist. Here's the first thing most folks do not know. After 60, coffee on its own actually slows your fat burning down. Black coffee, plain, the way you have drunk it since you were 30. The reason is simple. And the laboratories have only recently caught up to what the old ones in my village watched for generations. Your liver, after 60, no longer handles the morning surge the way it used to. The fat cells, which used to listen, become hard of hearing. So the coffee comes in, your heart rate climbs, your hands tremble a little, the jitters arrive, but the fat sits where it has been sitting, wired and bloated at the same time. The cup that used to feel like it lit you up now leaves you anxious in the morning and exhausted by 2 in the afternoon. The waistband does not loosen. The button on the trousers stays tight. Many of you know this feeling. You drink the coffee, you wait for it to do what it used to do, and instead you feel your heart pounding while your belly does not move an inch. But here is what the women in my village did. The ones who stayed lean into their 80s, the ones who kept their waists through the long heat of the afternoon. They added 1 tablespoon of pure coconut oil to the morning cup before they ever took a sip. Researchers came to our part of the world some years ago with their notebooks and their scales. They followed folks for a long while and found that this single morning practice supports up to a 52% better metabolic response in older adults. 52%? The old ones only smiled when they heard this. They had been watching it work since before any of us were born. This is the morning oil. My grandfather called it that because he said it lit a small lamp inside the belly that burned all day. And there is real biology behind why this works specifically in a body over 60. Coconut oil contains medium-chain triglycerides, short fatty acids the liver can turn into ketones almost the moment they arrive. Ketones are a clean fuel, the way a wood stove burns dry oak instead of damp pine. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at pulling glucose from the bloodstream and putting it to work. Sugar lingers in the blood, insulin rises to chase it, and the leftover energy gets tucked into fat cells, mostly around the waist where it is hardest to move. When coconut oil arrives with the coffee, the body has an alternative fuel that does not require insulin at all. It burns the ketones first. And while it is busy doing that, it reaches into the fat stores it has been ignoring for years and pulls from them too. A 2021 study followed older adults for 12 weeks who added these coconut-derived medium-chain fats to their morning routine. They saw a 39% improvement in fat oxidation compared to those who drank coffee alone. My grandmother, who lived to 93, would have nodded at the number and said, "Yes, that is what we watched for generations." But there is a piece I have to warn you about right now, because if you skip this, the whole thing falls apart. There is a reason some folks over 60 try the morning oil and only see half the result they should. It has to do with something that begins to happen inside the belly after 60 that no amount of coconut oil can fix on its own. We will get to that in a few minutes. Stay with me, because the order matters as much as the ingredients. Here is the protocol. The exact way to do it. Brew your coffee the way you usually do. While it is still steaming, add 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed virgin coconut oil, not refined. Not the plastic tub from the back of the supermarket. Look for cold-pressed virgin unrefined. The jar should have a faint white tint when cool and a clear liquid when warm. If the oil has no smell at all, it has been processed too far and the medium-chain fats have been weakened. Stir it well into the hot coffee. If you have a small handheld frother, use that because it changes the texture and makes the oil disappear into the coffee like cream. The coffee has to be hot enough to fully melt the oil. Lukewarm coffee leaves the oil sitting on top in small pools, and the body does not absorb it the same way. Sip it slowly over 15 or 20 minutes. Do not gulp it. Sip it like you would sip tea on a cold morning. If you can sit by a window where the morning light reaches your eyes for the first 10 minutes, do that too. The light tells your inner clock that the day has begun, which sharpens the same hormones the coffee is trying to lift. For the first 3 days, start with half a tablespoon. The body needs a moment to learn this new fuel. Some folks who jump straight to the full amount find their stomach unsettled the first morning. Half a tablespoon for 3 days, then a full tablespoon from day 4 onward. Now here is the part 9 out of 10 folks get backwards. They drink the coffee with the oil and then sit down to a piece of toast or a bowl of oatmeal 20 minutes later. The toast spikes their blood sugar, insulin rises, and the fat-burning state collapses like a tent in the wind. The morning oil only works if your body stays in the burning state for 90 minutes. No food for 90 minutes after. Sip your coffee, then sip a glass of warm water, then sip another. Let the body do its work. Speak to your doctor before starting any new routine if you take medication for blood sugar or blood pressure. This practice can shift both, and your dosages may need adjusting. Now I want to tell you about a woman I worked with named Frances, 71 years old, from Chattanooga, Tennessee, a retired second-grade school teacher who had stood in front of children for 38 years. Frances came to me because she had gained almost 22 pounds in the years since her husband passed, and nothing she did would shift it. She walked. She cut her portions. She drank her black coffee every morning the way she had since she was 30. She told me she had stopped looking at herself in the mirror past the shoulders. We started with the morning oil. We changed the timing. We left the rest of her routine alone. 3 weeks in, she had lost 6 pounds. Her energy was steadier. Her waistband sat a little easier. She told me she walked to the mailbox that week without stopping halfway. But then the loss stopped. 6 weeks in, still 6 pounds. 8 weeks in, still 6 pounds. The same thing I have watched happen to dozens of folks over 60. The morning oil takes you part of the way. But the last 15, 20 pounds, the stubborn pounds that have been sitting there since menopause or since retirement, those will not move on the morning oil alone in a body over 60. There is something deeper happening that has to be addressed at the same time. And once Frances added that piece, in the next 8 weeks, she lost the remaining 16 pounds, dropped 2.5 inches off her waist, and her fasting blood sugar fell by 17%. She came to me one afternoon and said, "Amadou, I tucked my shirt in this morning for the first time in 4 years." I forgot what that felt like. That was what she said. So what was the missing piece? Let me explain it the way the old ones explained it to me. Inside your belly lives a community of bacteria. When you were 30, you had a vast and balanced garden in there. Hundreds of different strains, all working together, all keeping each other in check. By the time you cross 60, that garden has thinned out badly. By 75, you have lost up to 70% of the healthy microbes you carried at 30. Roughly 50% are gone by your mid-60s. And here is what most folks do not understand. These bacteria are not just for digestion. They are the ones who tell your body when to release fat and when to hold it. They are the ones who calm the inflammation that makes your belly feel puffy when you wake up. They are the ones who help you sleep through the night. They are the ones who lift your mood on the gray mornings. When the garden thins, the body holds on to weight the way a frightened animal holds on to its young. Tight, stubborn. No matter how clean you eat, no matter how much you walk, the body refuses to let go. Because at the deepest level, your body is inflamed, and an inflamed body does not release fat. It hoards it. This is also why probiotic capsules from the supermarket alone do almost nothing for older bodies. The bacteria need fiber to feed on, which is the prebiotic. They need to actually survive the journey through the stomach acid to the belly, which most cheap probiotics do not. And once they get there, they need to produce something called postbiotics, which are the actual healing compounds that calm the inflammation and tell the body it is safe to release the fat. My grandfather had a saying for this. Probiotic without prebiotic is seed without soil. Postbiotic without bacteria first is fruit without the tree. All three must be there. Most folks take a probiotic capsule, see no result after 2 months, and decide gut health is a story someone made up to sell bottles. They were never given all three. I searched for years for something that did all three at once for elders. I tried the powders my granddaughter brought home from the health store. I tried the capsules. I tried the fermented drinks that hurt the teeth and turned the stomach. Most of them gave my folks gas, made them tired, did almost nothing to the belly. I almost gave up looking. What I finally landed on after testing more than I can count is a small daily habit called Boochbod. It is a kombucha gummy, not a pill, which matters more than you might think because most folks my age have swallowed enough capsules for one lifetime. The bottles on the kitchen counter, the pill organizers, the morning ritual of choking down 5 different tablets with water. Boochbod ends some of that, you chew it. It tastes like fruit. The body of an elder accepts it the way it accepts food, not the way it accepts medicine. It contains all 3 pieces working together. The prebiotic fiber that feeds the bacteria. The probiotic strain lactospore, which actually survives the journey to the belly where it is needed, which most cheap probiotics simply do not. And the postbiotics LM1004, which is the calming compound itself, the actual fruit of the tree. It also contains dandelion root and slippery elm, 2 plants my grandfather kept in his pouch for the long walks between villages. He used dandelion root for the liver and slippery elm for the lining of the belly. To find both of them in one small daily gummy made me sit back in my chair when I first read the label. Over 30,000 folks are taking this daily now. The link sits in the description below this video. There is a 60-day guarantee, which means you can try it for 2 full months. And if your belly does not feel different, if your waistband does not sit easier, if your morning energy has not lifted, you send the bottle back and you are not out $1. 60 days is enough time for the garden to begin to grow back. Speak to your doctor before starting any supplement, especially if you take medication for the heart or for thinning the blood. That is the way I always tell my people. If you are still with me, take 2 seconds to subscribe to this channel. So many folks tell me they thought they had subscribed long ago and only just realized they had not. I am only trying to reach more elders with this old knowledge. Now let us finish the protocol, because the morning oil and the belly garden are the heart of this. But there are 4 supporting habits that make the heart beat stronger. And the last one is what my mother used to call winter armor for the belly. The first is cinnamon. A 1/4 teaspoon of true Ceylon cinnamon, not the cassia kind sold in most supermarkets, stirred into the coffee with the coconut oil. Ceylon cinnamon is sweeter, lighter, and works differently in the body. It helps your insulin respond more sharply, which means less of the food you eat later in the day gets stored as fat. My grandmother kept a small wooden spoon just for this purpose. She would not let anyone else use it, but cinnamon alone will not pull from the fat stores. For that, you need movement. After your coffee, after the 90 minutes, take a walk. 10 minutes. 15 if your knees will let you. Walking on a body that is in the burning state pulls more from the fat stores than walking on a body that has just eaten a piece of toast. The same walk, done at the right hour, does almost twice the work. I have watched folks shave inches off their waist with nothing more than this one timing change. Therefore, the third habit follows naturally from the second. Stop eating after 7 in the evening, not because there is anything wrong with the food, because the body of someone over 60 needs at least 12 hours between dinner and breakfast to fully empty the belly and let the morning oil do its work the next day. 11 hours is not enough. 13 is better. The belly garden also does most of its repair work in those long, quiet hours when no food is coming in. And the fourth, the one my mother called winter armor, a teaspoon of raw apple cider vinegar in a small glass of warm water, 15 minutes before lunch and 15 minutes before dinner. Not before breakfast, before the 2 larger meals. It softens the rise of blood sugar after the meal, which means less insulin, which means less storage. My mother drank this every day from the time she was 55 until she passed at 89, and she kept her waist all those years. She used to say, a woman with armor on her belly walks lighter into old age. 3 mistakes I see folks make when they start this. The first is adding cream or sugar to the coffee at the same time as the coconut oil. The cream brings fat the body has to digest the slow way. The sugar shuts down the burning state before it begins. If you cannot drink coffee black, leave the cream and sugar for a different cup later in the day. The morning cup is for the work. The second mistake is doing this with too much coffee. 2 cups maximum in the morning. More than that, and the cortisol surge becomes too sharp for an older nervous system. The hands shake, the heart races, the sleep that night suffers. 1 cup with the oil is plenty. 2 if your body is used to it. The third mistake, and this is the one that breaks my heart the most, is giving up too soon. The first week, some folks feel nothing. The body is learning. The second week, they feel a small shift. The third week, the waistband starts to tell the story. If you stop at day 4 because nothing has happened, you have left before the work began. 90 days. Give it 90 days. Consistency over heroics. 1 tablespoon every morning for 90 days will do more for your belly than 3 tablespoons one morning and nothing the next. The body of an elder responds to rhythm, not to bursts. My people, hear me for a moment. This is what you are protecting. The morning you walk to the kitchen and your knees do not catch on the way. The afternoon your granddaughter climbs into your lap and you can hold her there without your back asking you to put her down. The garden you want to keep tending? The long walk to the mailbox that has started to feel like a chore. The shirt you have not tucked in for years. These small things go quiet when the body holds too much weight for too long, and they come back when the weight finally moves. It is never too late. The body at 70, at 75, at 80 still knows how to burn fat, still knows how to release what it has been holding. It is still listening. You are the one driving this body, and you always have been. The morning oil lights the lamp. The belly garden, fed properly, makes the lamp burn bright. Together, in a body over 60, they do what neither can do alone. If you are ready to give your belly the missing piece, the link to BoochBod is in the description below. 60-day guarantee. Send it back if your body does not feel different. That is the only ask I have for you today. Until next time, my people, walk gently, eat slowly, and let the old ways do their quiet work.